Hello and welcome back to another episode of TACHES Teaches. I'm Tash, and in today's video I'd like to show you how you can use the XY pad again, but this time to create some sort of vectoral synthesis. You could use this for a whole variety of things, blending effects, and you could of course just use the Bitwig preset device, the XY instrument or the XY effects if you want to do things outside of the grid, but I'm going to show you how you can create some sort of 4-point blending methods within the grid itself. So without further ado, let's jump right in. First thing I'm going to do is load up an instance of the XY module. And I'm going to make it 6 squares wide by 6 squares tall. So is that 1, 2, 3, 6, and make it a nice big square. This is for aesthetic and utilitarian reasons. And we could use any sort of waveform now. We could take a sine wave, or we could take a square, but for the sake of having some nice interesting texture straight away, I'm going to use 4 wavetable synths. And let's add them like this. That I think looks quite pretty. And then let's pick a few wavetables to use. I'm going to use the SQ blend, maybe the upright piano, something from the beginning. Maybe the ether sweep, and maybe a bell type one. So let's take the bell sequence. Okay, let's just put these in some place that isn't the beginning for a sec. Okay, so what I would like to do is for when I move this red knob, or this red dot, to be able to, on the x-axis, blend between these two. On the y-axis, blend between whichever side of the x-axis we're going through on here, and in the middle have a nice equal blend of all 4. And the first thing I'm going to do in order to do that is take 2 modulator outs, and that will allow us to modulate the x coordinates and the blue coordinates to whatever we choose to do that with. And let's start first of all with these bottom 2. In order to find a way to blend between these, what would be the most logical module to use? Probably the blend module. So I'm going to take a blend, and I'll copy one up here for when we do that after as well. And let's take an audio out as well. And I'm also going to turn off the pitch tracking for a sec, just in case I press some really high note by accident. I've done it before. And I'm going to take the first. In fact, let's also just take an attenuator so we're not going to destroy our ears. Let's take the first and put it into the top layer, and the second into the bottom. And we now have, if I leave this at 50%, we now have an equal blend of both of them, but we want to be able to do that with this. So first of all, I'm going to take the XY pad and I'm going to set the X coordinate here to 50%, so we're bang on in the middle. And if I were to now map this X coordinate to, as it goes up, push the blend up, and we're going to want to go by 0.5, you'll see that what happens is I can indeed keep just this sound. But as I start to go here, we haven't fully got rid of that bell sequence, and that's because the modulator out is currently set to unipolar. And you could of course just start this at 0 and do it that way, but it's an important thing to note that sometimes you need to make a unipolar signal into a bipolar signal. You'll now see that that 50% goes up, but it also goes down. So now we've got our X coordinate blended for these two. Very nice. So let's turn that down for a sec, and we can copy and paste this up here. And we'll just use that output for a sec. Let's take the SQ blend into the blend, and the wavetable upright piano into the second one. And now we have the same situation. And as I mentioned before, if you were to put this all the way down here, and you could just map. In fact, forget that. There's no point because we're using the same knob. Okay, so what I'm going to do is once again take this X coordinate and let's put that back at 50%. And let's put it up 0.5. Now we have a blending of these two as well. Now all we need to do is, if we bring the volume back on here, is find a way to blend between the y-axis. And again, a logical way to do that would be to use another blend, and we'll blend between these two. So let's take this attenuator here actually, and let's cut the audio off. And let's put this blend module into the bottom and this blend module into the top. And we can now feed that out. And once again we have the same sound before, but all we need to do now is copy our uni to buy, put that in there, into there, and we can now do the same thing of modulating it to 0.5, and we now have a fully vectoral synthesizer, which doesn't sound that interesting at the moment, but if we were to then use that with, say, let's take an ADSR envelope, and let's just bring the volume down on the device, because so now we have the possibility to make these lovely long notes and at the same time blend between these multiple sound sources. Let's put the key tracking back on again. And the joy of this as well is that we can now put this on, say, 10 voice polyphony, and then we can say, which again isn't that interesting in and of itself. So first of all, let's just load up a bit of reverb, slap a bit of delay in there as well, put that after the reverb. Okay, cool. So now we have this delicious sound. Sounds great. Why don't we add 16 voices of complex unison on all 4 of these and make this really nice and fat. Yeah, that will do. So now we have, we have some different tones coming through there. Maybe we could make some of them a different octave. So let's see which one of them sound a bit thin. Oh, we need to put this the other way around, actually. We need to put that to minus 0.5, because you can see that when I'm putting it up, now, there we go. Lovely, so why don't we now add some sort of movement to this? We could use, say, a random modulator. Let's take 2 of them, in fact. And we'll make this squiggly and free running, and squiggly and free running. Make them bipolar, both of them. And now let's map this to the x coordinates and do it 0.5. Once again, you could have just brought it all the way down to the 0 and not done it bipolar. And let's take this one and map that, again, 0.5. And now let's see what happens when we just press play. Maybe a bit too fast, that modulation, so let's slow it down. Let's put that to a bar, and also to a bar. Oh. Maybe we don't want it to reset, so let's turn off polyphonic and leave it so it's just playing. There we go. Really cool. And for the sake of getting a bit of a vibe in here, let's just whip up a scaler beforehand. And find some sort of nice chords. Let's go for the cinematic sad ending. That sounds nice. Make a nice long attack. Could be quite nice to filter this a little bit, so let's take the XP filter. Oh, the state variable. Make it work. We can open it a little bit with the envelope. Quite nice to use another random modulator on the filter as well. And of course, if you do move this red dot now, you're going to skew the values. So that doesn't just mean that you have to keep the only source of modulation for that X as these randoms. You could also, say, take an LFO and get something within that randomness that follows a bit more of a pattern. In fact, let's take the classic LFO. Let's take 2 of those and set this to 1 bar. And we'll map that to the X. Oh, is that the one I've mapped? Which one did I map? This one. No, this one. Oh, crikey. So we'll map that. And we'll do that to 0.5. And it is bipolar. So there we go. We're getting some sort of movement there. And let's map this one to the X. Sorry, to the Y. 0.5. Okay. So now we're getting some sort of movement there. But if we dial back this amount, say set this to 20%, make this a bit slower. Let's go for 2 bars. We're now going to get randomness that fits within a set pattern. And if you were to turn off these randoms, you can watch the actual shape that it's making. Oh, it's quite frustrating that I have to keep opening that. And again, if you move the dot, very nice. Let's put these randoms back on again. And of course, this doesn't have to just be pads. You could do some other stuff with it. If you were to make, I don't know, let's take an arpeggiator like we were doing yesterday. And let's make this 3 steps. Bring down that reverb a bit. Oh, crikey. Sorry, I mean, I wish I had my piano keyboard down here, but I don't. And of course, that's not even taking into account having any sort of modulation on this wavetable as well. Let's just, for simplicity's sake, take these 2 to be at 50%. Let's go off of here, full spread. And let's just put a couple more shaped LFOs on the index. And let's see what we get now. Because now you're not only morphing through wavetables, but you're morphing through the wavetable like a 4D or 2D meta wavetable. Don't really like that bell. Let's change that. Anyways, I hope this has been fun. I'm going to upload this simple preset for you to play with, and feel free to go crazy. Let me know what you come up with this. Well, folks, that's sadly all we have time for today, but I do hope that this video has been useful. If you enjoyed it, then please remember to like and subscribe, and smash that notifications button if you'd like to keep up to date with all of my future videos. If you'd like to take your support a step further, then please consider becoming a patron too. And in the meantime, happy Tuesday and happy creating.